Hundreds of feet beneath Missouri, machines hum around the clock in the dark, guarding more than 1 billion pounds of cheese, sealed, stacked, and hidden from almost everyone who eats it. Here's the paradox. Americans drink less milk than ever, yet robot arms, 3-story belts, and lights-out factories are making more of it than the country could ever swallow. Inside, a single line turns out 40,000 pounds an hour, filling 500-pound barrels in seconds, no hands touching it. Then trucks haul the surplus deep underground. This billion-pound mountain isn't an accident. It's built and kept alive by policy and billions of your tax dollars, and every year it only grows. £1 billion is hard to picture. So think of it this way. That's more than 3 pounds of surplus cheese for every person in America, just sitting in cold storage. And it's not a one-time glut. America has been quietly building this cheese mountain for decades, the result of a problem the country has never quite solved. It started in the 1970s. To rescue struggling dairy farmers, the government poured around $2 billion into the industry and promised to buy whatever milk the market wouldn't. Farmers did exactly what you'd expect. They made more milk than ever. Milk spoils fast, so the government turned the flood into cheese and stacked it in warehouses across the country. By the 1980s, the piles were so huge, the government gave blocks away as government cheese. Yet today, the surplus is bigger than ever. And to see why, we start where the milk is made. And a lot of that surplus is bred right into the cow. The black and white Holstein has been pushed over generations to give staggering amounts of milk, far more than it did decades ago. Step back, and the scale comes into view. This isn't a small family farm. It's a milk factory, home to thousands of cows under one operation. Across America, small dairies have been disappearing for decades, while the surviving farms keep getting bigger. Fewer farms, but far more cows each, and far more milk. The country now produces more than ever, even as fewer people drink it. So how do you milk thousands of cows? On a modern dairy, the surprise is almost no people. There's no fixed milking time. A cow wanders over whenever she likes, drawn in by a treat of feed waiting inside the stall. The moment she steps in, the robot knows exactly who she is, reading a tag around her neck like a barcode. A laser scans under her to map her udder. No two are the same. Then a robotic arm cleans each teat and attaches the cups, one by one. As the milk flows, sensors check each quarter for signs of trouble. And if anything looks off, that milk is automatically set aside. Every visit is logged, how much she gave, her health, even how many steps she's walked. And the robot never clocks out. It runs day and night, cleaning itself between every cow. The result is simple. Cows milked on their own schedule give more milk, often around 10% more. The machine doesn't just replace people, it squeezes out extra. Not every mega-dairy uses robots. Some milk on a giant rotating carousel, a slow turntable that cows step onto one at a time, like passengers boarding a merry-go-round. By the time the platform finishes a single slow turn, each cow has been cleaned, milked, and is ready to step back off, all on the move. The biggest of these can hold more than 100 cows at once, a milking machine the size of a building. Running almost without pause, a single carousel can milk around 700 cows every hour, and like the robots, it barely ever stops. And it never stops. Cows are milked every single day, holidays included, so the milk keeps flowing whether or not anyone is there to buy it. Every day, that river of milk has to go somewhere, fast. and the journey begins the moment it leaves the farm. Within hours of leaving the udder, the milk is racing down the highway in a refrigerated tanker. These trucks run around the clock. A single large dairy can fill a tanker in well under an hour, and the plants never stop receiving. Milk is one of the most perishable products in agriculture. It has to be processed fast before it can spoil. And with farms producing more than the country can drink, most of that flood is headed for one place: the cheese plant. At the plant, the milk pours into towering steel silos, some holding hundreds of thousands of pounds at once. Before anything is made, every load is tested and standardized, adjusting the fat and protein so each batch of cheese comes out exactly the same. The milk is pasteurized, then flows into massive cheese vats, stainless tanks the size of small swimming pools. Here, the milk stops being milk. With a few added ingredients, it's about to begin its transformation into cheese. First, living bacteria are stirred in to sour the milk, followed by an enzyme called rennet. Within minutes, the whole vat sets into a soft, jiggling gel. Then, rows of steel blades sweep through, slicing the gel into thousands of tiny cubes, and the instant they're cut, they start weeping out a greenish liquid: whey. The cubes are gently cooked and stirred until they firm up and shrink, squeezing out even more whey, which is drained off at about 9 pounds for every pound of cheese. What's left is a mat of pale yellow curds, and from here, they pour onto a moving belt. But this is no ordinary conveyor. It's a 3-story river of cheese, one of the longest in the world. As the curds travel, the machine stacks and turns them, fusing them into solid slabs. Further along, blades chop the slabs back into pieces, and salt rains down over them, for flavor, and to stop the cheese from souring any further. The salted curds are pressed into one continuous column of cheese, the last of the whey squeezed out, then sliced into solid blocks. A single line like this can turn out more than 40,000 pounds of cheese an hour, filling a 500-pound barrel in about 40 seconds, without a single hand touching it. But these aren't the wedges you'd see in a store. They're 640-pound blocks and 500-pound barrels, vacuum sealed for the long haul. But cheddar is just one path. The very same milk, in the very same kind of plant, is turned into completely different cheeses, each with its own machines and tricks. Take mozzarella. Here, the curds are never cheddared. Instead, they're fed into a machine that bathes them in scalding water and churns them with giant twin screws. Under the heat, the curd melts and stretches into a smooth, glossy, elastic rope. One machine pulling out thousands of pounds an hour. A spinning molder snaps the hot rope into balls, blocks, or braids, then drops them straight into cold brine to firm up. And here's a hidden trick. The more the cheese is stretched, the more its proteins line up in one direction, which is exactly why a stick of string cheese peels apart in strings. Most of it, though, is shredded and flash frozen. Millions of pounds of pizza cheese, ready to be shipped anywhere in the world. Now take parmesan, and everything changes again. The milk goes into giant copper vats, where it's gently heated, and the curd is cut with a tool like a huge whisk. At the bottom of each vat, the curd settles into a single mass, weighing over 200 pounds. It's hauled out in cloth, then cut in two, and each half becomes one wheel. Each wheel is pressed in a mold, stamped all over its rind with tiny pin dot letters, then floated in a pool of salt water for nearly a month. Then comes the weight. The wheels are stacked on towering wooden shelves in vast warehouses, hundreds of thousands of them, aging for a year, 2 years, sometimes 4. And in these aisles, a robot does the endless work, sliding each wheel off the shelf, brushing it clean, flipping it, and setting it back. Every wheel, again and again, for years. When the time comes, an inspector walks the rows with a small hammer, tapping every wheel and listening. A clean ring means it's good. A dull thud means a hidden flaw inside. Age it long enough, and tiny white crystals form inside. That famous crunch in aged cheese isn't salt. It's the cheese slowly breaking itself down. But true Parmigiano Reggiano can only be made in one small corner of Italy, where the wheels grow so valuable that banks actually store them as loan collateral. America makes its own Parmesan, hundreds of millions of pounds of it. But of all these cheeses, it's still the cheddar, in those giant blocks, that piles up the fastest. And now the cheese has to wait. The blocks are stacked into vast cold rooms, floor to ceiling, like walls of cheese. There they ripen for months, and for a sharp cheddar, often a year or more, before they're ready to be cut and sold. Once it's ready, the giant blocks are unwrapped and fed into automated cutters that carve them down into smaller and smaller pieces. Each piece is weighed, scanned for any stray fleck of metal, then wrapped and sealed, all without a hand touching it. For shredded cheese, whole blocks are dropped into spinning shredders, and the cheese rains down in a steady golden stream. But here's something most people never notice. Those shreds are dusted with plant fiber to stop them clumping, and often a thin coat of a natural mold fighter called natamycin. The bags are flushed with a protective gas and sealed, the packs you'd recognize on a grocery shelf, then off to refrigerated warehouses and stores. And this is just one plant. A big one takes in 2 million pounds of milk a day, running almost on its own. But the country makes far more cheese than it can sell, and the leftover keeps piling up, millions of pounds with nowhere to go. So the surplus is buried somewhere you'd never expect. These giant blocks aren't headed to a store at all. They're headed deep underground. Remember where we started? This is it. A road that descends straight into the earth and opens into a vast cold world few people ever see. This is no natural cave. It's an old limestone mine. Its rock dug out over decades, then turned into one of the largest cold storage sites in the country. Deep underground, the temperature stays naturally cool and steady, around 36 Fahrenheit, all year round, without the cost of cooling a giant warehouse above ground. The space is staggering. In Springfield, Missouri, one of these underground complexes holds more than 3 million square feet of storage. It's not quiet down here. Hundreds of trucks roll in and out every day, hauling pallets through tunnels lit like underground streets. And this is just one site. Across the country, more than 1 billion pounds of cheese sit in cold storage, the biggest stockpile in over 100 years. Stacked together, that's a mountain of cheese heavier than the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, and the Great Sphinx combined. Online, people call this the government's secret cheese bunker. But the truth is less of a conspiracy, and stranger. Most of this cheese isn't the government's at all. It belongs to private companies and traders, stored, aged, and bought and sold while it sits in the dark. So why does a mountain this big exist in the first place? The answer isn't in these caves. It's in decisions made in Washington decades ago. It began as a rescue. Decades ago, to save dairy farmers from collapsing prices, the government made a promise. If no one else would buy their surplus, it would. But a guaranteed buyer changed everything. Farmers produced more and more, until the government was sitting on mountains of milk it didn't know what to do with. Fresh milk lasts only days, so they turned it into things that last: butter, powder, and above all, cheese. By the 1980s, the pile was so huge that the government simply gave much of it away. Hundreds of millions of pounds of the infamous government cheese. Today, the government rarely buys and stores cheese itself. Instead, it pays farmers directly, a safety net that sends out billions of dollars when prices drop too low. That keeps farms running even when the country already makes more milk than it can use. So production never slows, and the surplus keeps coming. So where does all that extra cheese end up? Some is still bought by the government and sent to food banks, a quiet echo of the old government cheese. A growing share is shipped overseas, sold to buyers in Mexico, Asia, and beyond. But the most important move is the simplest: get Americans to eat more of it. And that's where the strangest part of this story begins. On the milk they sell, farmers pay a small fee into a government-backed program called the Dairy Checkoff. Its entire job is to make you eat more dairy. It hires food scientists and sends them inside America's biggest fast food chains. Those scientists help design some of the cheesiest items on the menu: stuffed cheesy bread, extra cheese baked into pizza crust, and a burrito with 11 times the cheese of a regular taco. It works. About a quarter of all American cheese now ends up on pizza, and one chain alone boosted its cheese use by nearly 60%. It's a strange loop. The same system that built the mountain of cheese also funds the campaign to get you to eat it. So this mountain isn't really a mistake. It's the byproduct of a machine built to keep the milk flowing, no matter how much the country actually drinks. So what happens to the mountain now? For one thing, it isn't shrinking. American cheese output is still climbing, and new plants are being built to make even more. Cheddar buried in caves, mozzarella melting on a billion pizzas, parmesan aging into wheels worth a fortune. It's all the same flood of milk, just wearing different shapes. Americans keep drinking less milk than ever, but they eat more cheese than almost anyone, around 40 pounds a person every year. The real escape valve is the rest of the world. US cheese exports just hit record highs, shipped to nearly 100 countries hungry for it. But that valve is fragile. A trade war, a new tariff, a rival like New Zealand. Any of them can slam it shut overnight, and the cheese piles up at home again. It's a strange problem to have. Much of the world worries about too little food. America built a system so good at making it that it buries the extra underground. Whether the mountain ever shrinks won't be decided in the caves or even on the farms. It'll come down to policy and to the world's appetite for American cheese. And so, deep beneath Missouri, the lights stay on. 1 billion pounds of cheese, waiting in the cold, the quiet monument to a country that simply makes too much.